How do you even start this without sounding dramatic? But if you've been paying close attention to NASCAR lately, you've probably felt it too. Something just isn't quite right. There's a shift happening, one that nobody really saw coming or prepared for. And at the same time, there's this growing tension inside the garage. Not just about performance, but about what the future is going to look like. Big decisions are getting closer. Careers are starting to turn. And honestly, this feels like one of those moments we'll look back on later and say, yeah, that's when everything changed. Because right now, we're not dealing with just one major story. We've got two, and they're both shaking the NASCAR world in a serious way. What makes it even crazier? They're connected. And once you see how it all ties together, it really makes you start questioning what's next, especially for one of the biggest names this sport has seen in years. Before we jump into it, if you're a real NASCAR fan and you're into raw, honest breakdowns like this, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to Race Plus TV. We're building this channel toward 15,000 real fans who actually live this sport every single week. Alright, let's talk about it. Because this first story? It's something I never thought I'd be saying out loud as a NASCAR fan. We're talking about Kyle Busch. Yeah, that Kyle Busch. A two-time Cup Series champion. One of the most dominant drivers of his generation. A guy who made winning look routine for nearly 2 decades. And now, he's sitting on a 1-0-0 race winless streak. Let that really sink in. When Kyle Busch left Joe Gibbs Racing after the 2022 season and made the move to Richard Childress Racing, taking over the number 8 Chevrolet, it felt like the perfect reset. A fresh start. New energy. And early on, it looked like a brilliant decision. He wins at Auto Club Speedway early in 2023. Then adds another. And by early June, he's already got 3 victories. Just like that, Kyle Busch was right back in the championship conversation. It felt like we were watching a full comeback story unfold in real time. But then, everything stopped. No wins for the rest of 2023. Nothing in 2024. Nothing in 2025. And now, 7 races into 2026, still nothing. That drought has officially hit 100 races, the longest winless stretch of his entire career. And to really understand how serious that is, you have to look at his past. Before this, his worst stretch without a win was just 36 races between 2016 and 2017. This is on a completely different level. And it's not just about the wins anymore. 7 races into this season, Kyle Busch is sitting 24th in the standings. His best finish so far? Just 12th. Not a single top 1-0 run. Not even a hint of the dominance we used to expect from him every single week. For a driver who built his legacy on consistency, aggression, and closing races when it mattered most, this isn't just a slump. This feels like something bigger. And here's the part that really puts everything into perspective. This has never happened this early in any of his 21 previous seasons, not even during his toughest years. That's how serious this drop-off really is. Now, zoom out and look at the bigger picture. That incredible 9-year streak of winning at least one race every single season, gone in 2024. Missed the playoffs in 2024 for the first time since 2012. Missed them again in 2025. And now in 2026, he doesn't even look like a contender right now. And this is where things start to get uncomfortable. Kyle Busch is in a contract year with Richard Childress Racing. He turns 41 this May. And suddenly, the question isn't just, can he win again? It's, will he even still be in the Cup Series in 2027? Now to be clear, age alone isn't the issue. We've seen plenty of drivers compete at a high level well into their 40s. But this isn't just about age anymore. This is about performance. And it's also about the reality that Richard Childress Racing hasn't consistently been at the level of the top powerhouse teams for a while now, even before Kyle got there. So yeah, there's a real argument that maybe it's not just him. But at the same time, NASCAR doesn't wait for anyone. And with this year's silly season already shaping up to be far more chaotic than 2025 when only 2 full-time rides changed, this situation is about to get very real, very fast. So now the big question becomes, is Kyle Busch really going to be stuck at 63 career wins? Or is there still one more chapter left somewhere else? And honestly, we might start getting answers as soon as this weekend. Because the next race is the Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway, a track where Kyle Busch has dominated, winning 8 times on the concrete. This is his place. If there's anywhere he can flip the script, it's Bristol. But right now, the pressure is massive. Now let's get into the second half of this story, because this is where things go from serious to straight up fascinating. If Kyle Busch does leave Richard Childress Racing after 2026, where does he actually go? There are 5 real possibilities being talked about right now. Option 1, staying right where he is. And yeah, after everything we've just talked about, that doesn't sound likely. But it's not completely off the table. There have been small flashes of speed even during this drought. If the team can somehow find consistency, maybe Kyle decides to give it one more year. Still, it feels like a long shot. Option 2, Spire Motorsports. Now, this one actually makes a lot of sense. They've got Carson Hocevar locked into the no. 77 long-term, but beyond that, things aren't exactly set. Michael McDowell is also 41. Daniel Suarez is basically in a prove-it situation. But here's the key connection. Kyle Busch already has history with Spire. He sold Kyle Busch Motorsports to them after 2023, and since then, he's been running and winning with them in the Truck Series. There's chemistry there. There's trust. And with his son, Brexton Busch, coming up through the ranks, this could turn into something bigger than just a one-year move. This could be a long-term family play. Option 3, Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but this is NASCAR. We've learned not to rule things out. This is where Kyle Busch actually started his Cup career over 20 years ago. And if Hendrick decides to shake things up, especially with questions around Alex Bowman's performance and health in recent seasons, there could be an opening. Would they go with a veteran instead of a young prospect? Especially if they miss out on someone like Connor Zilisch. Also, don't forget HendrickCars.com has already been sponsoring Kyle in the Truck Series with Spire. Unlikely? Yes. Impossible? Not even close. Option 4, Legacy Motor Club. Now this one is really interesting because of the Toyota connection. A return to Toyota with 23XI Racing would have made perfect sense, but that door looks closed for now. However, Legacy Motor Club, backed by Toyota and led by Jimmy Johnson and Richard Petty, is planning to expand to 3 cars in 2027. So if Kyle can't reunite with Denny Hamlin, could he end up teaming with 2 legends like Johnson and Petty instead? That's not just a move, that's a storyline. And finally, Option 5, stepping away from the Cup Series. Not retiring from racing completely, but possibly shifting focus. Kyle Busch has made it clear he still wants a Truck Series championship. And if he goes all in there, especially with Spire, he instantly becomes a title favorite. But let's be honest, that's probably not what most fans want to see. And deep down, it might not be what Kyle wants either. Because despite everything, it still feels like there's something left in the tank. The real question is, can he find the right situation before time and the sport moves on? And that's what this whole story really comes down to. This isn't just about a winless streak. This is about the future of one of the greatest drivers of this generation. Is this the beginning of the end? Or the setup for one last comeback? As a fan, I'm not ready to count Kyle Busch out just yet. But I'll be honest, this feels different. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think happens next? Does Kyle stay with Richard Childress Racing? Does he move to a team like Spire Motorsports, Hendrick, maybe even Legacy Motor Club? Or are we actually getting close to the end of his Cup career? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let's talk about it. And if you're into real, honest NASCAR content like this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to NASCAR Central Race. We're on the road to our first 1,000 subscribers, building a community of real fans who live and breathe this sport every single week. I'll catch you in the next one.